Welcome to Almanac North. I'm Maria Hewitt. Tonight on Almanac North, our civics conversation continues with a House District 7B candidate. Plus, we break down the ballot measures that impact our region the most. That's coming up next. But first, the Halloween season can be a challenging time for those who suffer from nut allergies. But did you know there is an evidence-based method for preventing peanut allergies before they start? Allergy and feeding experts are helping parents learn more about preventing peanut allergies at an early stage with the help of a lovable new character named Little Peanut. Experts suggest various techniques such as mixing with water, formula, or breast milk, mixing with food like infant cereal, applesauce, or pureed fruits and veggies. Older infants may enjoy homemade peanut butter teething biscuits instead. For more information and recipes, head online to www.littlepeanuts.tips. LifeSource, an organ donation nonprofit, announced a new public awareness campaign focused on Minnesota men. The new campaign urges all Minnesotans to join Bigfoot in the Big Heart Club during their next visit to the DMV. While the Big Heart Club is for everyone, the campaign originated as LifeSource was looking to increase donor registration among Minnesota men. According to a national survey, 90.4% of adults in the United States support organ donation, but only 51% of Minnesota men are registered. And the needed for transplant disproportionately impacts men, 62% of the wait list. A study commissioned by LifeSource found that 7 to 10% of unregistered men are open to registering. Key barriers were misinformation about health exclusions and it simply not being a priority. One person can save and heal 75 others by registering as a donor. More information can be found online. Chum has announced plans to expand its shelter in Duluth with construction set to start in spring 2025. Originally built in 1998 for 30 people, the shelter now averages over 100 guests nightly, forcing some to sleep on the floor due to limited space. The expansion aims to provide more beds, personal space, and support services to help guests recover from the hardships of homelessness. Chum held a press conference earlier today at its drop-in center to discuss the project's impact. Chum Executive Director John Cole, along with local partners and supporters, will share their vision for improving shelter conditions and helping Duluth address its housing crisis. While the expansion is a major step forward, Chum acknowledges there's still work ahead to provide affordable housing and long-term support for the homeless in Duluth. Well, now to continue our civics conversation, we're joined by Rita Albright to talk about the Lottery Conservation Amendment and how it could impact those living in the Northland. Rita, thank you for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Rita Albright, and I sit on the Legislative Citizen Commission for Minnesota Resources, the LCCMR, and that's a state commission that helps take applications, review them, and recommend projects to the state legislature for funding through the Environmental Trust Fund.
Could you give us an overview of the 2024 constitutional amendment and explain what it seeks to accomplish?
Well, thanks for that question, because I think everybody wants to know, what is this amendment all about and what does it mean and what does it say? So basically there are 5 things in the amendment that I'll just share. One is that it would guarantee 40% of the net lottery proceeds would continue to be deposited into the Environment and Natural Resource Trust Fund. Sometimes we shorten that to say the ENRTF. And that would go on until 2050. And that's a constitutional dedication, which is set to expire at the end of this year. So that's one thing. Secondly, it would increase the maximum allowable annual draw from the ENRTF from 5.5% to 7%. And it would prohibit the ENRTF from being used for projects that pay for any costs for wastewater treatment facilities. That's something the legislature felt strongly about and put in statute. And it would prohibit the ENRTF from being used to pay for municipal or interest on any bonds, because what we really want to do is protect the environment. And then finally, it would remove constitutional language related to using the ENRTF for loans for water system improvements. So that's sort of the bird's eye view of what the overall amendment would be.
What would happen to the lottery proceeds if this amendment fails to pass?
Well, we're still going to have lottery tickets. We're still going to sell lottery tickets. But if the constitutional amendment does not pass, lottery proceeds would no longer be constitutionally dedicated to the ENRTF beginning in 2025, but they would be continued but they would continue to be dedicated to the ENRTF in statute. So the statutory dedication could be changed by the legislature, which is why we think that constitutional amendment is important. Dedicating it in the Constitution makes it really the voice of the people saying this is what we want to do for environment. And it provides some stability for the funding and also for applicants who want to make sure that they are able to apply and get funded through this program.
Does passing the amendment affect the state's financial responsibilities or affect rates for Minnesota taxpayers?
That's a good question. Does passing the amendment increase or decrease the state's financial responsibilities? The amendment does not propose to increase or decrease taxes on Minnesotans or increase or decrease the financial burden on Minnesotans because it is truly 40% of net state lottery proceeds would continue to be deposited in the ENRTF. So it's been done that way for more than 30 years, I think 34 years. So if the amendment does not pass, 40% of the net lottery proceeds would still be deposited in the ENRTF, but the legislature could direct the proceeds for another purpose in state budget.
For those who may be undecided or unaware, why is it crucial to vote for this amendment?
It's important for people to know what happens if they vote yes or vote no or leave it blank, and what that does to the potential, constitutional amendment. So why a yes vote is important? In order to pass, we must achieve a majority yes vote on the amendment, and leaving the question blank is the same as a no vote. So we have to have a majority yes vote in order for it to pass. So, making sure that we continue to have those funds, 40% of our lottery proceeds dedicated to the Environmental and Natural Resource Trust Fund. If people believe that we should protect our natural resources and that we should continue to use state lottery dollars for that, then people, I hope, will vote yes. And remember, 60% of the lotteries goes right to the legislature to do whatever they want to. We're just looking at the 40% that is helping us to preserve, enhance, protect, and expand our natural resources.
So what advice would you offer voters on how to make an informed decision?
So I would encourage voters to educate themselves on the ballot measure. There are some advocacy groups that are working to educate Minnesotans about the ballot questions and the importance of passing it this year. One of them is Minnesotans for Our Great Outdoors, and that's a coalition of businesses, associations, and government entities who have a website dedicated to information about the amendment, and that's Minnesotans for Our Great Outdoors. As we all know, early voting is open, but the election final last day to vote is November 5th, so I encourage everyone to get out and vote, make sure they read their ballot well, and they're prepared when they go in the ballot box.
Rita, thank you for joining us tonight.
It's been a joy talking about the constitutional amendment. I really appreciate Almanac North taking time to get the message out about this, and appreciate your time so much. Thank you.
Next, I'm joined by Lori Janatopoulos, candidate for House District 7B. We reached out to candidate Cal Warwas, but he was unable to join us tonight. Lori, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, absolutely. It's great to be here.
Give us a little background about yourself.
Sure. So I am an Iron Ranger. I moved up to the Iron Range from Two Harbors nearly 50 years ago when my husband at the time got a job at Eveleth Taconite. And so I just, as soon as I got to the range almost, I got involved in politics, knew Tommy Rukavina. I've always been excited to try and help where I can to make things better for people. And I've been involved in a lot of community organizations. I worked first for St. Louis County Commissioner Liz Prebich, handling some constituent concerns. I worked at AUA, developing programs for people that are economically challenged, seniors, youth, and others. And then I was Career Force Director for the state of Minnesota from 2019 through 2023. I just love the Iron Range and our grit and our passion and our ability to help one another. So a little bit about myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to run for House District 7B?
Yeah. Well, you know, there were a variety of things. I mean, Representative Liz Lagarde, and I'm very proud to have his support, determined kind of late in the election cycle that he was not going to be able to run again. And I knew that we needed to keep that seat progressive. It has been for decades. As I said, I've been politically active and involved in the community, and I thought this is something that I can and I would love to do. And so I decided to file, and I filed actually on the last day. And so in a very short time span, I got my campaign up and running. You know, very, very pleased with the widespread support that I've received. And I just would love the job. I would love to represent the Iron Range and Rangers in St. Paul.
What are the challenges you see the people in the district facing?
Yeah, I think so. My message is Iron Range strong, and that what that translates to is Iron Range strong economy. And so we really do need to support our mining industry, and we need to bring online copper nickel mining, precious metal mining. I think that's an issue. I'm really happy that Representative Liz Lagarde and Senator Housechild started some permitting reform, and I would like to help carry that forward. And so copper nickel mining, beyond mining, I think that we need economic diversification. We need to strengthen our small and mid-sized businesses to revitalize main streets, and so, you know, support our logging and tourism industries. And so that's kind of the Iron Range strong economy. I'm also invested in Iron Range strong families, and so I think we need to invest in public education and you know, and the teachers that help our children learn, and that educational system has to be available for all. So public education, childcare is a big issue, housing and health care and all the rest. And for strong Iron Range strong communities, I think we need infrastructure, local government aid, county aid, town aid, to make sure we can continue to live in this wonderful, great rural place. I would fight for that. We need lower property taxes. We need broadband and internet so that we're not left behind in our area in any way. We need to ensure that our seniors, you know, are able to age in place or have housing and services appropriate to them. And so we need that for our communities, and we need to protect our outdoor recreational lifestyle, including hunting, fishing, snowmobiling. I bought a snowmobile last year. Remember that winter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it happens,
Unfortunately,
right?
it's sitting.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So if elected, how would you address those challenges and make an impact?
Yeah, well, of course, they, you know, I would need to and would plan on working across the aisle. I'm guessing that in rural areas there are, you know, a lot of legislators who might be of the other party, Republicans, and it's always been my forte, I guess I would say, to problem solve, and you can't do that without all perspectives. And so collaboration is you know, a big strength of mine. So I would do that. I would really like to chair the House Property Tax Committee like Representative Liz Lagarde did. You know, I would also like to carry on some of the initiatives that he was involved with, working with Grant Housechild on his initiative for childcare, for instance. That way I could jump right in as I'm planning for other ways to address the larger issues over the course of that term.
And what makes you the best candidate? Why should voters vote for you?
Yeah, well, my breadth of experience, you know, from serving in county government to raising hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for programs for people on the Iron Range at AEOA, and then my position as statewide Career Force Director, overseeing all of the workforce centers statewide, as well as managing the Veterans Employment Services Program. That kind of experience combined, gives me a real edge in St. Paul. I also have relationships and can continue those relationships to fight for the issues that we depend on with other legislators. And I'm a candidate that's going to deliver on bread and butter issues. I think that issues that matter are what is most important. I support reproductive health care so that women don't die. I think we need that. I support a clean energy transition. I don't believe climate change is a hoax. And so I'm the one that's going to work on those issues that matter and deliver. And my breadth of experience will help me do just that.
Lori, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, next we head over to the Iron Range to explore the unique diversity of the community gardens in Virginia, Minnesota.
Well, here you got something. Oh, you got something there. What is it? That's the lemon cucumbers.
Here, it's dirt therapy. If we're having a bad day, we can be outside, scratch a little dirt, spray a little water, and you might get something good to eat.
I started gardening when I was 3.
I mean, I started gardening to trick myself into eating vegetables. And I've had the tastiest veggies I've ever had in my life from this garden. So now I won't stop gardening.
This is Bailey's Lake in Virginia, Minnesota, and this is my garden.
We have 3 community gardens in town currently, and each one is unique in serving its surrounding community. Even in our small town, where food deserts would be, and where access to healthy, fresh food was limited. But it does bring people together to see what everyone else is growing and how things are going with other gardens, and new friendships are being made at the gardens.
I love sharing the experience with other people and growing stuff.
It's very relaxing. Kind of calms you down and just, it's a place where you can just be.
And what do you love most about gardening?
I'll have to try to figure that out.
I came to this garden without ever having gardened, ever. They gave us wonderful sheets, reference sheets, and said these plants work best from seed, these plants work best from transplant, here's some tips, and I believe the end of the sign-up document said gardening should be easy and fun. So it was a really, really nice introduction to gardening anywhere.
I don't know, there's just something satisfying. It's almost maybe primal. You're growing your food and you're eating it, and it's healthy and it's good for you. There's just something about that. And many times I've thought it's a lot of work and we're often gone and it's hard to maintain the garden. So I think about quitting, but when spring comes, I'm back up here. I can't stop.
Next up this evening, our producers sat down with Superior School District Administrator Dr. Amy Starzecki and Director of Business Services David C. to talk about the upcoming school referendum.
Ultimately, the question we're posing to our taxpayers is, do you want us to continue to make this level of reductions now that will impact our classrooms and student experiences, or do they want to invest in our public schools in the Superior School District? So when we go out and we talk to people, we tell them, this is the first time the Superior School District has ever gone out for an operational referendum. What I like to tell people is keeps the lights on. That's how you pay your salary to your teachers, how you pay for fuel in a bus, how you pay to heat a building. One big thing that I think people really need to understand is not only is inflation touching everybody personally, but as a district, it is significantly touching us as well. Our expenses are going up across the board. Example is utility bills are looking at a possible increase of 18%. When you have an 18% on your utilities and you have a $600,000 utility bill like the school district has, that's an extra $100,000 that needs to be brought in and paid out. Unfortunately, at the same time, the state's saying, we're not going to give you any extra revenue.
As we have declining enrollment, each student brings in about $11,000 per kid. As you lose one student, you lose $11,000. If you lose 10 students, you've lost $110,000. But if those kids are spread across multiple grades, it's not like you can reduce the heat in a building. You can't lay off a teacher because a class has one less kid in it. So we lose students, we lose revenue, but at the same time our expenses actually go up. And that's why people are seeing, even our operational referendum, how it increases from year 1 to year 5. That's due to expenses increasing from year 1 to year 5, but our revenue actually decreasing coming back from the state. And that's where the big thing, I think people need to understand or see that who is the boogeyman in this story? Is it this district where people say you're being financially, you're not being financially correct with your money, you're not using the money correctly? It's actually the state saying we're not going to give you as much money, and if you want more money, go to your taxpayers.
So one of the questions that we've received in some of our community meetings is what are some of the approaches that we've taken without going to referendum? And so, like I said, 85% of the school districts in the state of Wisconsin have had to go to their taxpayers. We haven't. One of the reasons for that is we've been able to make significant reductions every year to make sure we have a balanced budget, as well as adding to our fund balance.
We had the opportunity when I reached out to the community and said, do you want us to do more? Or do you want us to just stay on par with what we're doing now? And currently their decision was to continue on with what we have now. So this referendum will just give the ability for the Superior School District to maintain all the opportunities they have now. It doesn't necessarily mean we won't be making cuts. We actually will be making cuts because of declining enrollment. But those cuts are going to be now strategic and planned, as opposed to if this referendum doesn't pass, we're going to have to make drastic measures that are going to affect every single class and every single school in the district.
One thing I should mention is we did go to our community this summer and did a survey. And in that survey, we asked our community whether they would be interested in approving a referendum recognizing the situation facing our district. So we gave them 3 different options. We gave them the most expensive option, a middle of the road option, and then a least expensive option. Our community, 63% of our school community supported the least expensive option. And so what that option will provide is really keeping status quo and making sure we can maintain our activities, services for students, and our class sizes that we're very proud of.
We've gotten to the point where we can't bend anymore. Any other reductions that we're going to do going forward is going to directly affect our kids in the classroom, as all the low-hanging fruit or the easier cuts we can do that aren't going to touch the students in the classroom have been exhausted. Just this past year, we laid off 60 staff. We closed an elementary school, and we made a significant change to our health insurance that we provide our staff. So we're asking the community, who's willing to pay that price now? Is our students going to have to pay that price by having larger class sizes, or is the community willing to step up and pay a little more on their property taxes?
Before we go, let's take a look at what you might be up to this weekend. There's a whole slate of spooky fun happening around the region. Saturday at 7:30 at the West Theater is your last chance to catch the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Zena City Horror returns to bring this classic cult film to life. Come dressed as your favorite Rocky character and enjoy the hysterical live performers and audience participation. Saturday, November 2nd at 7 p.m. and Sunday, November 3rd at 1 p.m., Cultures, Humanities, and Arts on the Iron Range, or CHAIR, is putting on a production of Frankenstein 1930 in conjunction with Mountain Iron Buell High School in the Merritt Auditorium. This version of the story, based on the 1931 Universal horror film featuring Boris Karloff, amplifies the film's suspense and adds humor as well as a new love story. While still scary, the adaptation is suitable for children aged 10 and up. Tickets for Frankenstein 1930 are available at chair-mn.org or at the door prior to performances. And Mesabi Symphony Orchestra is hosting a night at the movies on Saturday, November 2nd at 7 p.m. at Rock Ridge High School and Sunday, November 3rd at 2:30 p.m. at Ely Public School. The concert will feature music from your favorite films, including Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Superman, The Dark Knight, The Chronicles of Narnia, Star Trek, Spider-Man, and E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Parents and kids are encouraged to dress up as your favorite characters from the films. Refreshments will be available in the lobby. More information is available at mesabisymphonyorchestra.org. Well, that's it for this week's show. Make sure you go out and enjoy it, your weekend. For everyone here at Almanac North, I'm Maria Hewitt. Thank you for joining us. Good night.